Hi there, Scott, ROCKFILE, back with another podcast review for you. Let's talk about the 2022 film, Fall. I waited a while to see this movie. I think it played here in Alaska for about a week. The movie was made for $3 million. They spent $4 million on marketing it. Went on to gross $21 million worldwide and get a second home on home video and Netflix. It came out in August of 2022. It was released on home video in October of 2022. Hit Netflix thereafter and has become a huge success there. March of this year, it was announced that it would be getting a sequel, and last month it got a brand new 4K edition, Steelbook, exclusive to Best Buy. So if you want to see this movie in 4K, which it was filmed in 4K, the only way to get it right now is to buy that Best Buy Steelbook before it's out of print. Just giving you a heads up there. The movie's been on a Blu-ray for a while. I had it for a while and still had not watched it. I was kind of holding out. I found it cheap on sale last year, probably around Christmas time, Black Friday kind of thing. And just kind of left it hanging around, although it was really on my list. And I really didn't want to read much about it, didn't want to know much about it, and heard nothing but good things. So finally, when I had read that it was shot practically, there's almost no green screen in the movie, that it was filmed in 4K. The new 4K edition was going to have Dolby Atmos as well. Basically, the whole package was going to get upgraded with some new extras too. I was like, okay, it's finally time for me to tackle this movie. So still not knowing much about it. I know some of the reviewers I follow liked it, but didn't go into any details. Most people don't go into details. And now I know why, that I'm not going to go into details. Scott Mann wrote and directed a survival thriller, if you want to call it that, about dealing with your fears, living life through the lens of two women who want to climb the tallest television radio broadcasting tower in the country. There's a few of these. I looked it up. There's several towers in the United States over 2,000 feet. There's one that this was based on in California. There's another one in North Dakota, I believe. Anyway, that's over 600 meters. Over 2,000 feet is pretty high up there. So anyway, the idea of the movie, not to give you any spoilers, is that these women are on a climb, probably before the movie starts, and a tragedy happens. So then we fast forward to almost a year later to see where their lives are and why they decide to tackle this other thing. And all of that takes place in the first 30 minutes of the film that's about an hour and 45 minutes long. So you can do the math. There's a lot here to deal with, to unpack, to enjoy. Let me use that term loosely. This is a well-made film. It's well acted. It's well shot. The Atmos was great. You could tell it was in 4K. There's these grand vistas. They're just shooting out over the desert. The clouds are razor sharp. It's a beautiful picture. The colors of the desert versus the blue sky versus the white clouds. And then this one tiny little tower with two people on it right in the middle of all that. It's some really great cinematography. So taking all that aside, that it's just a well-made film, right? I would probably give it, without any subject matter, let's just talk about technicality, I would give this film really high marks, like 4 out of 5 stars. It's a really well-made film. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing I'd probably cut out of it. Then you add this other element. If you have a fear of heights, and most people do, this is your ultimate fear. They put you in the situation with these two girls. I have never, watching a scary movie, an action movie, you name it, I have never felt like I felt watching this film. That it was almost too much for me to take. My palms were sweating. I'm sure my blood pressure was up. It was, you almost have to stand up. I mean, I can't imagine seeing this in the theater. It would have been an intense experience, and it's a pretty intense experience at home. Like I said, in 4K, it looks amazing. Sounds amazing in Dolby Atmos. There's a few, not a whole lot of overhead stuff, but a lot of like clouds, thunder rumbling, birds, that kind of stuff, atmospheric stuff over your head that's really cool. There's some dynamic scenes of some things that are pretty impressive that I can't get into any details. The less you know about the movie, the better. So it's on Netflix now, so watch it. there you go. Most people have Netflix, right? If you don't have Netflix, it's available on Blu-ray. It's available on 4K. Most other streaming services have it. It's been out long enough that you can find a regular 1080p version pretty cheap, I would imagine, on sale on certain weekends on Vudu and some of the other services, iTunes, whatever. But see this movie. Like, if you have a problem with heights, why would you not want to watch a movie? I mean, I guess that's kind of... if you have a fear of spiders, why would you watch a movie about spiders? I get it. But like I said, I'm someone who's been up in a radio tower at one point. Early in my career, the station I worked for was facilitating a 50,000 watt upgrade, brand new tower, brand new studios, brand new equipment. It was a wonderful time to get into the radio industry from college, where everything was kind of pieced together over years, to what was something pieced over 2 years was going to be now upgraded into a fully professionally endowed studio system, and the new transmitter room, new tower. So they had a bucket hooked up on this tower, and you could ride the bucket up. That's how they were attaching the antenna and things. They don't just climb up there like the girls do in the movie. There's actually, once they build the tower guys install this kind of elevator system, and you can ride up there and work kind of safely and then let yourself back down. And so we did that. And if you go up to a tower that's several hundred feet high, ours obviously wasn't 2,000 feet high. I don't remember how high it was, but it was high enough that you can see the curvature of the earth, and you're that high up. It sways in the wind up there, even with those guide wires, and as strong as it looks from down here, it's swaying up there. It's moving back and forth, and it moves a little bit more than you think it does. And it was a surreal feeling that you could fall at any second. So it's not something I've ever repeated in my life. I've been on roofs of buildings. I can walk almost to the edge, but I don't know. When I get right to the edge of a building or a cliff or a mountain, I just feel like some breeze is going to come up and blow me off of it. So I will step right up to that edge, but I'm not one of those people like they do in the movie where I'm going to hang off the edge, take a picture, and then climb back up. No. Too many accidents could happen there. I used to be a thrill seeker when I'm younger. Maybe I've gotten older and wiser. So that's the additional element in this film that no other movie you will see anytime recently has. You will have a visceral, very palpable response to watching this movie, depending on how you feel about heights. Look, I've watched, what was it? Stallone's Cliffhanger. I've watched Everest. I've watched a lot of movies about mountain climbing and stuff. This is... Well, watching some of the extras after, and again, not getting into spoilers, but they wanted to film it practically because they wanted to put you there. The whole reason to make this from the short that it originally started as to a full movie was to give you that experience, to make the movie for IMAX theaters, which they did, to put you there. And you're on the top of that tower with those two girls, and there's not a whole lot of room. Trying to take a nap? Can you imagine? Anyway. It's fear-inducing because it's well done. It's not overdone. It's not overblown. It's not overacted. It's the movie. Some movies are the sum of their parts and are better than they should be, right? This is one of those that even exceeds that. Because of that response that you will have, it's like a roller coaster. People say, oh, that horror movie had so many scares. It was like a roller coaster. When was the last time you actually felt like that in a horror movie? Yeah, there's a few jump scares, makes my heart whatever. When was the last time your palms were sweaty and you had to stand up? Because this is just too tense. What was the old line? He was so tense, if you shoved a lump of coal up his ass, it would turn into a diamond. Yeah, that could have probably been done to me while watching Fall. I don't know why I waited so long, because I really don't think of movies in the terms that I will think of this movie going forward. I don't think of watching a movie that's going to affect me. There's been a few like really dark horror films that I don't watch because they give me a certain feeling that maybe it's too depressing or too dark or too... Anyway, I might own them. I might watch them once in a blue moon, but there's certain movies that just give me a feeling. For example, not a horror movie per se, but Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream. I think it's an incredibly well-made film, and it affects you. Same with The Wrestler. Mickey Rourke. These movies seem simple on the surface, but when you watch them, they give you a certain feeling. They're not my favorite feelings to re-enjoy. I watch Marvel movies because they give me a certain childhood joy. I watch certain science fiction movies because they give me a certain sense of wow and awe. And I would watch a movie like this because it made me feel like I was going to fall off something very, very tall. It's a unique experience I've had. I've watched all of those mountain climbing movies and never felt like I did in this movie. So on that, it gets a 5 out of 5 for being able to do something to me that no other movies these days can do. A real physical reaction to a film. Wow. And for, I will pull it out when people go, oh, heights are not a big deal. All right, well, let's sit down and watch this movie for the next hour, 45 minutes. You can tell me how you feel about halfway through. This is why you go to the movies. This is why we watch movies, to feel something, right? And I know you might like romance movies, you might like dramas, you might like plays, you might like musicals, you might like, slasher movies, whatever. This will make you feel something, I guarantee you. Whether you like it or not, that's up to you, but I'm telling you in advance what it's about. You're going to be dangling off something really, really tall with a chance of falling into your death. It's, in that kind of context, this is a very scary, very affecting movie. So, I think I've said enough about it. You should watch it. And if you don't think, heights are a big deal, well, then let me know how you feel after. I really enjoyed it. Fall came out in 2022, finally watching it here towards the end of 2023. This will lead into an October where I'm going to try and do more, not so much Halloween theme, but we'll try and keep it in that lane of things that are thrillers and horror movies and maybe some sci-fi horror and some other things. But anyway, we'll have fun with it, I think, all month long. I've decided this year I hardly ever celebrate Halloween as much as I'd like to. So since I'm recording this on September 30th, I've decided this is the month. Celebrate all month long. There you go. I'm Scott. I'm ROCKFILE. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I've got a lot more coming, actually. But this, I watched it last night, had to record this morning. You just had to know. Go watch Fall. Whew, I feel better now. Have a great day.